Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold the phone here. Why is Hayama looking like a final boss or something at the end of this episode? Like, wait, what? Like, okay, so, it's been a while since we saw Hayama in the story. Actually, he's been absent for a very good long while. Even in the last core of, Food Wars, he was barely shown. And I have been wondering what role he was going to play, because we haven't really seen much of him and all of that. So now, seeing this episode, it's, quite the shocker. I want to say right now, it's quite the shocker, because I always believed Hayama would be on Soma's side, on their side, helping them out, but this episode proves that is definitely not the case. So, to get right into that, because that's something that I want to talk about, okay? So I just watched the ending song, and then I got past it to where there's like this little ending segment, and then I see this about, Hayama, and I'm like, what the hell? So this man, straight up, it's obvious that he has to be getting pressured in some way. There's no way that this man is helping out Central and he's going along with it. Like, there's just no way. He has to be being forced in some way. If I had to assume anything, take an educated guess here, I'm just assuming that most likely Central or, Azumi and all that, they're probably threatening June in some way. I think that's her name, the girl that hangs out with, Hayama a lot. I'm assuming that that's what's going on, because we do know that he cares deeply for her, and we saw that he would go really far for her, so I'm assuming the reason why he's a part of the Elite 10 is to safeguard her, keep her safe, but also to, crush the rebels, which is Soma and his group. That's what I'm assuming. I could be wrong there, but that's what it looks like to me. Regardless, though, we're getting a rematch. Soma versus Hayama. That's unexpected. I honestly did not think we were going to get a match quite like this so soon. I mean, now thinking about everything, thinking about what the two little, steps of the exam were about, it makes a lot more sense now we would have something like this. It builds up our expectations. So, let's get right into that. So, looking at the theme here of what's been going on for the past two episodes, the first episode and this episode, the first challenge, the first step of the exam, it was showcasing how dirty Central will be towards Soma and his group. That they will go to extra lengths to make them fail. For instance, being just extremely unfair with everything when it comes to ingredients and all of that. We saw that in the last part of the exam. The first part, actually, in the last episode. And with this episode, we get to see, once again, them trying to be very, very crusty, going out of their way, trying to figure out ways to make Soma and his group fail. Now, the first example, the first thing that happened with them, it was to show that Soma's group, they were not going to be falling for, petty tricks. Things that, are just so petty to try to throw them under the bus. While, this episode, it was showcasing that Arena, she wasn't the one that was carrying them across the finish line. She wasn't hard carrying them across this exam. They were working on their own to be able to accomplish everything they've done in these past two episodes to be able to face Central and, surpass them. And so I like the structure of these two episodes and what it was trying to show. For instance, first episode, these petty tricks aren't going to work. This episode shows Arena is not really carrying them across the finish line. They're having to do the extra legwork to be able to reach victory. And then with the encounter with Hayama and all that in this episode, basically that's letting us know now that tricks are not going to be a part of this, and it's going to be a straight up real match, the first real match of this exam. And I mean, Soma's going up against an Elite 10 member, and we know for a fact that Hayama is no pushover as a chef. We have seen him personally and what he's capable of in, the previous seasons of Food Wars. So, it's common sense that it's not going to be easy at all. And here's the thing, though. I really, really do wonder exactly if Soma's going to overcome this challenge because he's better than him, or is Hayama going to kind of, allow Soma to win? Something like that is telling me something like that might happen, because Hayama, I feel like there's more going on behind the scenes than we're aware of, and I feel like there's going to be a lot more at stake here than just, Soma trying to achieve victory and him trying to, move on to the next part of the exam. I just have a really good feeling about that. Now, anyways, getting into the other stuff of this episode, I want to take a few moments to talk about the Arena stuff. So, Arena, we already know that she's been undergoing a lot of changes. Her cold and isolated heart was starting to open up in these past couple episodes. She is starting to make friends, and it's just a very wonderful sight to see. I talked about this in length in my last episode review of Food Wars, but with this episode, we get to see extra signs of how Arena, she really is changing for the better. I mean, we could see how her whole worldview has changed. See, she was always isolated. Her father kept her locked up, made it to where, he was the only person that Arena ever had contact with, and so she never really got to see the world for what it was. And even when her father wasn't manipulating her or trying to make her do whatever he wanted her to do, she was always being a food tester. She was always tasting food and all that, trying to uphold, the family name and all that. That's what she wanted to do. And so she never really had time for herself. She never had time for her as a kid to be able to do what she wanted, to sightsee or whatever, be with friends. She never had that opportunity given to her, or that privilege. And finally, for the first time, she's able to be with a group of friends and have the privilege of being able to view the world around her instead of just looking at food. For instance, being forced to taste food and, review it or whatever. She's being able to view everything in its entirety and appreciate it, which is what that moment of the episode was about, when she was looking at how beautiful the environment was. Like, she's never noticed how pretty the city is. It just shows that Arena, she's starting to notice the little things in her life that have been around her all this time, and her eyesight's just starting to open up and view everything. She no longer has clouded vision and just seeing one thing. She's able to see a lot of things at once. So that entire segment, it was once again to expand upon Arena's character and showing that she once again has changed considerably. She is still changing as a person, and once again, she's able to appreciate all this thanks to Soma and his friends from Polar Star helping her out. Now, speaking of which, I also want to talk about how in this episode, I learned something very fascinating about potatoes. I had no idea potatoes could be turned into noodles. I want to be honest, maybe that might be common knowledge for chefs or really good cooks or whatever, or average chefs, I don't know. But I had no idea you could turn potatoes into noodles. That was something that blew me away with this episode. I'm just like, wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, you're telling me you can cook noodles or make noodles with potatoes? I mean, it makes sense, the starch and all that. It never came to my mind that you could do something like that with potatoes. So I learned something from this. And once again, as I always say, that's one of the big reasons why I love Food Wars, because it teaches you a lot about cooking and allows you to do things or know things that you never would have thought was possible. And this episode did exactly that. I was able to realize that you can actually make noodles with potatoes. Now, speaking of noodles, potatoes, and food in general, oh man, I made a really bad mistake watching this episode. I did something that you should never do while watching Food Wars, and that is watching an episode on an empty stomach. That's what I did. I tried to watch this episode, I was hungry, my stomach was grumbling, and I'm like, oh god, I can't, because you know how Food Wars is. The food looks really good. It makes you really hungry, you want something to eat, and when you see how the anime just depicts certain food, how it tastes, you're like, oh my god, I want something like that. And so I made a mistake while watching this. I was really hungry, and I was like, I gotta pause this. I had to pause it and all that and run to the store to get me some food just because of how hungry this episode made me, especially when he got into the noodle scene, cooking and all that. I'm like, yo, I need this. I need some food and all that. But okay, getting back on topic though. Sorry, I got a little bit off topic there. I think overall that this episode is incredibly simple. It's mainly set up for the upcoming events with Hayama or the Elite 10 in general, and it does make me wonder if our characters are going to be able to overcome this, because the Elite 10 are going to be going after the others. So I really do wonder how they're going to overcome this challenge. I mean, I know Hayama is a great chef and all, don't get me wrong, but he's definitely, in my personal opinion, I would say he's one of the weaker Elite 10 out of the entire cast. So, if, Soma's going up against Hayama, then how in the hell is the other supposed to go up against the Elite 10? Because there's some really good chefs a part of them. So I'm curious about that one. That is something that's kind of throwing me for a loop right now, because the way it's looking, someone might potentially fail. I wonder if someone will actually fail before all is said and done. But that's pretty much about it when it comes to this week's episode of Food Wars. Like I said, it's a simple episode, it's straight to the point, and it's mainly just about Arena showing how her worldview has opened up, showcasing the next step of the part of this challenge for Food Wars, and also setting up Hayama as like a final boss of some sort. That's pretty much it. So I'm going to end this video here. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like, and I love you guys. You have a wonderful, wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.